Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your master of martial arts and the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. I'm also the co-host of GD Explanations. See new episodes every Monday. They're generally very hilarious and just a lot of fun to watch. I highly recommend it. Today is Saturday. That means it's Shaolin Saturday, and we are going to return to the great Shaw Brothers Film Factory with one of my favorite, possibly my favorite kung fu movie of all time. Well, my favorite movie that has kung fu in it, which there is a distinction here. But before we get too much further into it, well, it is the five deadly venoms or the five venoms. Take your pick. Pick your poison. But before we get too much further, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this movie. It's most awesome because it's not really your traditional kung fu movie. And leave a comment. And if there's anything else you want to talk about, drop a line. Anyway, having said all that, let's Poison Clan rocks the world. All right, we start out the movie with an old man and what we think might assume is an old man in a bath if you're not familiar with Chinese medicine. But this is the master of the Poison Clan, the Venoms clan. Right there, he is played by Dick Wei or Wong Lung Wei, maybe. He's been in many gazillions of movies, but he is the master who doesn't. We don't see him very long. He's talking to his disciple there, Yang De, who is played by Chang Sheng. This is the movie, The Five Deadly Venoms, right? We did say that. This is the movie that introduces what would come to be known as um, the Venoms mob, because I guess that's a good. I mean, it's kind of a good name, but they all didn't always appear together, and they appeared in other movies with other directors and stars, and they split apart. And anyway, this movie was released in 1978, right? 1978, August 12th, 1978. According to the running time, it's 98 minutes, and the excellent Ultimate Guide to Martial Arts of the 70s by Dr. Craig D. Reed, he quotes it as 97 minutes, and I think that the Arrow video I have, both it and is this the Dragon Dynasty? Yeah, Dragon Dynasty runs 101. Arrow says it runs 102. And so I'm thinking there's a possibility of a conversion rate, but it doesn't matter. It's an awesome movie. So the master's dying, and he knows he's going to die, and he wants his disciple here to go out and fix everything because they've been used for evil purposes. So it's the five venoms. There it comes up on there, and here is what you would have seen as I saw it in probably 84. I'm going to say early 84. Channel 20, the greatest channel of all time, station of all time. WDCA out of Washington, D.C., had a Kung Fu theater on Saturdays, I think after pro wrestling, the WWF pro wrestling. And they had a creature feature. Then, like your Saturday was just taken up. If they had a good one, they had some stinkers too, both movies and kung fu and monster movies. But on a good day, you could see the Five Deadly Venoms followed by the Terror of Mechagodzilla, which I did. Well, I saw that. Here's your cast. Ku Feng is guest star. Wong Lung Wei. Yeah, Wong Lung Wei. That's Dick Wei there. I don't know Ku Feng. Liu Feng. It doesn't say who Ku Feng was, but I'm sure Blake will be able to tell us because he's great and wonderful. So I don't know. He might be related to Now he probably isn't related to Ku and Lu. There's our fighting instructors. And you'll notice that the Laos are not here involved anymore because he started directing his own movies that were movies about kung fu. This is a movie that has kung fu in it, and and it's not your typical kung fu movie. So, according to the book, Dr. Reed's book, it only has about 19% of the movie is martial arts fighting. So there is more exposition here, talking, but it's just done so well, as we'll see. So oh, look, the first one we see there is, well, it's not a frog. Sorry, frog. It's not a frog. It's a toad, but, same, pretty much the same thing. So, Special Agent Frog will be happy for about a third of the movie that the toad is here and is the strongest of the Venoms until dun dun dun. And there, of course, Chang Che is the director, and it's so well lit. And so I put in a couple of English. They've got the subtitles here, which are based on the the Mandarin uh, language being spoken, but I put in some of the dub in there because that's what I watched it in. That's how I saw it. That's how I love it. I don't hate the subtitles at all, but it's just easier if you're not 100% paying attention. There they are. Later on, the five Venoms would be used as a basis for Geki and Geki Ranger for bad guys. And then I think some guy named Tarantino ripped him off for one of his uh, the Kill Bill, and it just made you want to watch the things he ripped off. I've said that before. I'll say it again. It was Kill Bill. The first one I enjoyed to a degree. The second one I thought was a little more boring, but I've just never got the appeal. Sorry, not sorry. So we'll start out with the scorpion, the centipede, pardon me, and then we go to the snake. So let's see. The scorpion is played by Sun Chen, and the snake is Wai Pak. And then we go to the third, which is the scorpion. And I love this shot there of him leaping. I mean, they do this is them. So the scorpion is played by, where'd he go? Sun Chen, Chief Constable Ma as the scorpion. I just gave away the plot, but, once you see it, and most people have seen this. And then we've got the gecko. Now it's dubbed as the lizard. Why? I mean, geckos, lizards, because geckos can crawl on the wall. Most lizards can crawl up walls pretty well themselves, but the geckos are known for it. They're not poisonous at all. So we've got three that are poisonous. Toads can have poison, but they're usually on their skin to deter predators. Obviously, snakes and scorpions and centipedes are all poison, known for poisonous. And there's the toad, Lang Shen, and that's Lo Bang, everyone's favorite um, uh, uh, Venom. Well, I think he's everyone's favorite Venom. And that's just for Frog. So uh, the 4 and 5 know each other. The others don't. So yeah, I put in some extra stuff here. Anyway, so our newest student there, Yang De, I call him the Chimera or the Chimera, however you like to pronounce it, because he's known all five, the basics of all five, but he can't defeat everyone. So off he goes out in the world to find it and make things right because the Venom's mob has been bad. The Venom's clan has been bad. Don't be bad, okay? So you see him, and now he's disguised as a street urchin, though he's got some money. Oh, look at all that baozu and good food. And that right there is Constable He Yu Shin, Wan Shin. And that's his buddy, Constable Ma. So if you remember what I just said, who the bad guy was, one of the bad guys was, and you'll probably figure out, well, there's a mystery in this movie about who's who and what's what. And there is the Li Hao, and we'll find out who he is. But here's the guy a fruit vendor, and then that's the toad sending a signal to someone. I tried to get a better shot, and Li Hao there invites him in, gives him money, a tail, so he can have some food. and he meets up with uh, Constable Hay or Ho. I think he's called Ho, but the dubs or the subtitles say Hay. So they're still looking, and there is Hong Wen Tong, who will find out carrying a sword, and he's very rich, very very rich. Oh, I do declare. And he meets up with Hey Ya. That is Tong Shang Kui, and obviously these two miscreants are up to no good, as we can tell. And if you notice on um, Hong Wen Tong, what his gauntlets are, they've got snakes on. So we're going to call him the snake. Other guy is the centipede. Thousand hands. So, but I'm just going to go with that because it's easier than the Chinese names. And there's already, we've got the master and the sixth, the five, and the six. So this is the eighth because this gentleman here is a former head of an associate who's got lots of money, a treasure, and somebody's figured this out. Well, the centipede has, but he tries to trick him, but he knows enough to block his snake strike. Now, the snake is the only style that has a corresponding real life style, Shaolin style, and this isn't even used the same way. It's just the rest of them don't exist. It's a completely unless they do, and they just have killed everyone that knew Thousand Hands. So there you find out who these two Venoms are right away. This is Wan Fa, who's a gambler and he's out of his luck, but he sees the scorpion come out, and then they're all having a discussion. And so obviously, the gentleman here practices internal power, which is qigong. And now we find out that Yuan and Yuan, the old man who is the eighth Venom in the movie, and Wan Fei tells Yang that he's seen the murderers. So, this magistrate here, he's called the governor in the dub, but he's really the magistrate. He's not a very. He's kind of. Is that Johnny Wang? Yes. How about that? I didn't even recognize him. He doesn't do any kung fu in here, which is odd. So he's corrupt. I believe that's him. And if it's not him, once again, Blake will tell me. So here's a clue as to who Li Hao is, because he's worse than Wan Fa. So he goes to him. They've got him. So they got to get him arrested. Constable Ho says, "Oh, and now, okay, so there's the toad there. There's the toad. They're going to have their fight, which is a good one. It's our first fight, and we're about 20 minutes into the movie already without too many fight with the first fight. So, but it just moves. It's really well done. I'm going to say that a lot. Doing their own stunts, but you can see over here in the left-hand corner where the Chimera, has interfered and allowed the toad to get the drop on the centipede. So off they go. He's like, oh yeah. So see the governor, and it's just the chief magistrate, the justice. There he is. Yeah, I didn't even recognize him. You lawless villain, confess now. So, but then he gets this thrown onto his table, and he's like, oh. So he says, let's calm down here. Now these two have another discussion. Oh, actually, that's the scorpion there meeting up with the snake. Now the scorpion's a mystery. Who is the scorpion? But Snake bribes the chief justice there, and then they bribe Wan Fa, who recants and says it's a different guy, who says it's the toad. So Tong Shang Kui. But so there's a brief skirmish in the court, and then they put them together, and they decide. And the snake says, "Here, let's build." They call it the Iron Needle, but it's a coat of needles or something. They call it the Iron Maiden in the dub because we of the West would know what an Iron Maiden was, as opposed to a coat of needles. But it's serves the same function, except they're not piercing. They're not gigantic. It's 1,000 needles. They're trying to break the iron skin of the toad. Now, the toad in Asian culture is revered as a symbol of strength. If you remember the rather poor Power Rangers, the movie, where they switch from their dinosaur Power Rangers to the next set, one of them has the funniest line where he says, "I'm a toad," and it's because he didn't. He's coming from a Western experience. And, toads are toads, but they drug the toad here to get him to put him into the Iron Maiden. I couldn't resist. Nobody did run to the hills, and it's not the number of the beast or the. Those are the only two Iron Maiden songs I know off the top of my head. But he just burst right out. It didn't work. And we have another fight here. Finally, the snake reveals himself, and he tries to penetrate him. And I really like this shot there. I'm sure he's on a wire, which was very rarely used in these movies because they didn't need to, but to balance him that way. But finally, the scorpion's in the room and knows his weakness somehow, and somehow he got both ears at the same time. I'm not sure how that happened, but bonk. So this is a theme here: fairness and justice, and some of them are a little, like we're not doing a fair thing. Monfe gets released, and then he gets killed by the snake and the centipede, because the centipede's the senior nest, and so Snake thinks he has to do what he says. And this guy gets bribed to go kill the toad by suffocating him. So sorry, Frog, that's it for the toad. And he's dead. And yeah, they tell him he committed suicide. And they bribed him, and then these guys kill him with a brain pin, a pain brin. Close enough. Yeah. Ugh. So they know that Scorpion's up there, and they on their side, so they're still looking for the lizard, the gecko. Officer Ho returns, and he's all upset because his buddy's dead, and he doesn't believe it. And now Chief Constable Ma says he's going to leave, and he's retiring as a policeman. So Ho is the lizard's upset. If you haven't figured it out, he's the lizard. But he's got some people who feel bad about it because of justice, and he's drinking, and then the old constable's hung himself, and then this guy tells him what happens, and then the gecko, the lizard, gives him all his money and says, "Go." Drinks, and then the chimera shows up and reveals who he is. And all 5 Venoms are revealed, and he's Poison Clan rocks the world, which was the slogan, which is a great slogan. And the last Yangde, the last student of the master. And he tells him what happened. And now, yeah. So there's a bunch of intrigue. We still don't know who the Scorpion is, though pretty much we can guess by now. And the Snake is having second thoughts, and he's feeling bad because he didn't need money, he didn't need to kill people, he just wanted to learn a kung fu, and he chose the Poison Clan by accident, according to the subtitles. But once an evil deed is done, then it never ends. So they could play fast and loose when they had the mask on, and whoever did the dubbing realized they had to have it muffled so that he would talk a little bit like this. Because you couldn't hear it. I mean, that's just how masks would work. Sorry, Spidey. Your voice would be muffled. So they decide to team up, and then Ma shows up to go with them because they're going to go confront the Scorpion, the Centipede, and the Spider. And he's like, "I've resigned." There he is, just lounging. They're so good. I mean, Chang Che was such a good director. He could get a great performance out of, anybody. Probably even me. Fight begins. And I had to cut out a lot of stuff. I mean, even though there were some pretty good pictures, I took a lot just because he wanted to get the best ones. And Ma is just waiting there. And they've caught him. And finally, this Snake says, "Are you just watching?" So he knows who he is. And we do now. The Scorpion. And there's where his darts are. And he throws them 4 into the front, 4 into his back. How'd you know? So, no honor among thieves. They betray each other. They all want the treasure. Except for Snake, and now they think he's incapacitated. There's our scorpion, and he has to bribe the centipede because, so off they go, and here we have the final fight. So it's well shot and well timed. And finally, this happens. I mean, as for a Chang-Chia movie, this isn't as bloody as they would get, as we've seen in, say, uh, um, uh, Masked Avengers, or I still need to write Blake that review. Sorry, Blake. Masked Avengers, or whatever I watched before that. No, was it Masked Avengers? Oh, the Flag of Iron. We get intestines and things like that in the future. Like, wait till we get to 5 Element Ninja. But he's dead, gets a boot to the head, and now the centipede wants the treasure because this guy's going to die. His innards are ruptured. And then we have finally, oh, you know what? I even had this up here queued and ready to go. And
the ancient land of China, schools and the martial arts were a way of life, but none were as lethal as the one we are about to reveal. 5 deadly venoms.
Well, you'll see the trailer at the end. You don't have to hear all of it. But they've killed everyone. They've killed, and 1, 2, 3 people. Other people have died. A whole family died just for money. So they talk about going after the corrupt governor or magistrate, the judge.
A secret society, each man unknown to the other, identified only by a mask, representing one of nature's deadly assassins.
Again, lizards. There's only 2 poisonous lizards: the Mexican beaded lizard and the Gila monster, and they have to chew on you. You'll get sick from the garbage in their mouth before their poison gets to you. Anyway, there's the map, which has got blood on it. They've got blood on them. And they say we can't go, there's no reason to go after the magistrate or the judge because they could just replace him with someone worse. And it's true. I mean, there's always someone worse. Rare to find someone better. And they're going to donate the money to a charity and try to clean up the clan's name, but I don't think that's going to work. But at least those 2 can live with themselves. So there's our movie. It's such a good movie because it's a mystery. I mean, it's not a movie about Kung Fu. It's a movie that has Kung Fu in it, and really good Kung Fu. It doesn't have as much as some of the other ones, 30, 40, 50%, where you have a bunch of fights. But the master, Chang-Chia is such a great director. He knew how to time things, when to break it up, to cut away from the fight so you don't get overwhelmed and numbed by the action. You have to have those breathable moments. One of Wan Fa's first, when he sees the killer, his legs won't work, and he does this little comedy thing where he has to move his own legs to get him out of the way so he doesn't get found out. It's just a little bit, but it's this tiny thing after a dreadful murder has been committed. It's really just a nice touch. Anyway,
the snake, the scorpion, the lizard, and the toad.
So yeah, most of this after this is now just the fight scene. You'll see it. So my fellow agents, this has been Shaolin Saturday, our 533rd episode, I believe. And tomorrow we'll, since I'm not watching Straight Jacket on Sven, I have no interest in it. I've got a dinosaur movie, kind of a dinosaur movie, queued up to go. And until our next assignment, this is X7, signing off and phasing out.
The ancient land of China, schools and the martial arts were a way of life, but none were as lethal as the one we are about to reveal. 5 deadly venoms. A secret society, each man unknown to the other, identified only by a mask, representing one of nature's deadly assassins: the centipede, the snake, the scorpion, the lizard, and the toad. 5 deadly venoms, 5 masters in the martial arts, Each man pitted against the other in savage combat, and each trained in their own vicious method of killing. They practiced a special kind of kung fu, killing by instinct, with machine-like precision, lightning speed, and ruthless power, as ferocious and deadly as the venomous creatures from which it took its name, and whose stings were always fatal. Kill or be killed. 5 deadly venoms. No mercy asked, none given, in a kung fu epic as brutal as nature itself. 5 deadly venoms, survival of the fittest and kung fu action at its very best in the most spectacular martial arts program of the year. 5 deadly venoms, 5 stinging ways to die. Pick your poison. You'll be stung to your seats. Don't miss 5 deadly venoms, a Shaw Brothers